Statement that other sects in Islam love to say. And I said previously, and I said on the first lecture that I gave, my main focus is Sunni Shia discussions. My main focus is the differences that we have and defending our religion, right? So one of the questions that we get is what? Where's the proof that Ali was the successor of the Prophet? In the next couple of nights, a whole lecture is dedicated to this. And we will only use the Quran, we won't even touch the Hadith. But one of the responses that they give, which can easily be refuted, is what? The Prophet ordered the first Caliph to lead the namaz. So therefore, in his absence, if you're going to turn to anybody, you got to turn to the man who led the namaz. Okay, forget everything else. Forget the fact that when this man was leading namaz, the Prophet came out of his house, stood in front of this man, broke his namaz, and led the Muslims in namaz himself. That's the first point. Why would the Prophet tell someone to lead namaz, then come out and cut his namaz? But the best response that we have, that our ulama have written, my favorite response is what? If you admit that the first Caliph was leading the namaz in Medina, you have to admit what? That he was in Medina, right? If you admit that he was in Medina, then you have to admit that the Prophet ordered certain companions to leave Medina. And if you admit that the first Caliph led the namaz, then you have to admit that the certain lanats are going to go somewhere. We don't know where they're going, but they're going somewhere. So in order for you to say he led the namaz, then you have to admit that he was in Medina. If he was in Medina, you have to admit he defied the Prophet. If he defied the Prophet, you have to admit that Allah and the Prophet's lanat are going somewhere. So these were the plots that they were creating.